Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankarashaya Madhyamam Asmadashaya Payantam Vande Guru Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Murti Veda Vibhagine Vyom Abda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurti Namaha Sabhavekanta Saranta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham. Om. Okay. We are finishing, closing the third chapter, and I was taking a quick look on the following chapter, the discrimination of duality. It's nice, it's different from what we have been, dwelling upon in between the two texts. I think we're going to enjoy that one. But let's finish this conclusion of this third chapter. We saw the summary, hidden in plain sight. We have covered that. Experience, we have, Yana. We have seen that the summary, the self is kind of hidden in plain sight in the cave of the heart, as Ramana used to say as well. Being the five koshas, a kind of way somehow it gets somehow how I would say dressed up. Okay, it's more like when you dress up for something. I forgot the word, but it's dressed up, as the five koshas. The self appears with the human experience, let's say, the individual experience, the I, the self, through the five levels or dimensions of human experience, and then they say I. So in all the five levels, okay. So it is disguised. The self appears disguised by human experience. Why? Because it appears as the I this, I that. You understand, Claudio? And the experience consists of two parts, consciousness and object. And of course, as I mentioned last class, the agent, the experiencing agent. Experience requires consciousness, objects, and the experiencing agent, which is consciousness appearing in this suborder of reality, let's say. And then we saw that there is always a light, and there is an object being illumined and revealed by the light, but we tend to take for granted something that is always ever present, and then we discount it. We don't see it, we do overlook it, okay? And we know that this is a great analogy to explain the way the self is hidden in plain sight, because it's all the time illumining our experience, and we look for the self in the experience, and we discount, we neglect the self as the conscious existence, projecting and illumining the world of objects of experience. Therefore, it's said that the self remains hidden, but it's not hidden, it's all over as the illuminator. And this, we are talking about the self, our very conscious existence. Never think that the self is something that we have to reach for and connect to or gain or accomplish. And then how are we going to get to the self? By negating all these imposters, the five quotients, they are imposters, okay? Is the I identified with those levels of experience that say, I am the I, we need to negate the I that comes, that emerges within each one of those dimensions of human experience. Yeah, and then we say, I am the greatest, I am enlightened, or I am just an old body, physical body, or whatever, So this I needs to be negated, needs to be exposed as an imposter, the ego. The ego is the I consciousness identified with these different levels of experience, okay? So we say, no, you are not really, the I, the self is not really an agent, an experience agent. The self is the light of consciousness, okay? The experience agent is just an instrument provided by Maya Shwara so that the self can have some fun down here. And it's going to have some pain as well, because there is no fun without pain. So we need to negate the sheaths. Then, as we have seen, the experiential approach is very simple. It's very simple, but may take many lifetimes. You have to go searching and digging and looking for those deep space of silence in which you somehow you lose your ego, you lose your presence as an agent, and then there is only this state of non-duality referred to as nirvikalpa samadhi. So this is the experiential approach of negating the five sheaths. But when you negate the five sheaths, okay, which is the ego, the imposter, the I appear. When you negate that, the five sheaths, you are negating everything. You understand? You are negating the world. You are not that you are negating the I appearing. You cannot negate the I appearing within human experience because it's very subtle. And then we go for nirvikalpa samadhi, and then I negate everything. The world is going to disappear before my eyes. My eyes are going to disappear as well. So you negate everything. So Vedanta invites us to negate not everything, because we can't negate the world. The world is always going to come back when we get up in the morning or when we come out of a state of samadhi. You have to negate what? You have to negate the reality that is superimposed on this order of reality, suborder of reality. So the experiential, you have to negate everything, jagat altogether. And then in the approach of Vedanta, you're going to negate the five sheaths, the real five sheaths. You negate the five sheaths, you negate the I that appears within these five dimensions of experience, but you do not negate the world literally, okay? And you do not forget including the element of disclosure of this world. You remain conscious, and then you take into account consciousness, but you separate this phenomenon called the five levels of human experience, because it's through these five koshas that the jiva projects reality to these five elements, let's say. Five elements are there configuring infinite numbers of namarupas, names and form. So we're going to negate what? We don't want to make it all disappear. We just leave them there. I'm going to negate the superimposition of the jiva atma through the five koshas. You understand? I just need to understand that it's not really real, because my vasanas are going to take these elements and project reality and project value on all of that. It's all a function of our vasanas, after all. Our pratibhasika, this manifestation created by the way we see the world through the lens of our vasanas. Is everyone following so far? No doubts, huh? That is the inquiry guide by the teachings of Vedanta. Upadhi. Upadhi is a point of view. Yeah? It's a way, a perspective that you look into things, and then you see things that do not really belong to that thing that you are viewing. Yeah? All conflicts and confusions are based on different points of view. Upadhis. It's interesting that here Swami Pia presents the upadhis as different points of view. You understand? So you look from one angle, you're going to see a red crystal, and then from another angle, you may see a green crystal. Depends on what is going to be. You look at water through a green glass cup, transparent glass, you're going to see the water green. You see through a red glass, transparent red glass, you're going to see the water red. Vedanta says that the 5 sheaths are upadhis for Jiva, which is awareness. That's why it's Jiva. So the Vedanta says that the 5 sheaths are upadhis for the Jiva. Jiva is consciousness. And then what happens? These 5 koshas, these 5 sheaths, okay, they are constituted by their properties and attributes and qualities, okay, and then the self appears and say I, and he identifies with those attributes, qualities, and properties of that level of human experience, okay, and then if it is the pranas, it's going to be identified with the qualities of those 5 intelligent heirs, running the 5 physiological systems, for example. So the upadhis, they are these qualities, these attributes, these properties inherent, to these 5 levels of human experience that somehow appears to be transferred to the I, transferred to the self. When we say I am tired today, oh, I am sad and depressed, I am happy, I am clear, and so on. I am hot, I'm cold, the physiological systems, for example. I am undigested. How about that? I am constipated. The I identify with constipation. This is gross. The 3 bodies are upadhis. The 5 sheaths are upadhis for Jiva, and the 3 bodies are upadhis for Isvara, which is also consciousness. Jiva Atma is consciousness, and Isvara Atma is consciousness. It's all Atma, it's all Brahman. So the 3 bodies are upadhis for Isvara, which is also consciousness. It's a matter of experience that Jiva is consciousness. By inference, which is a valid means of knowledge that's based on experience, we know that Ishvara is consciousness because the world is intelligently, consciously designed. It requires enormous pure knowledge and intelligence and pure knowledge cannot come detached from pure consciousness, okay? So here there is a passage I want to make sure that we all understand this statement. It's an old statement for most of us, and it is a matter of experience that Jiva is consciousness. The Jiva is conscious, it's a conscious being. And we know that by inference. And inference is a valid means of knowledge based on experience. Do we all understand that? You understand that as well? In which way inference depends on direct experience or sensory experience. So sensory perception is going to allow us to give us the base to create all kinds of inference, okay? You guys read some of those examples of sending the rocket into Jupiter, that James used to tell, and then oh no, this is not Jupiter is there, and then no, by inference, we know that everything is moving here, and then we need to do some calculations, and then we keep inferring and adjusting, and then we go directing this rocket to Jupiter, for example. Most of all scientific knowledge is based on inference, and all inference are based on experience, perception, okay? Perception and inference. By inference, we know that Isvara is aware because the world is intelligent design. Oh, what is this that say that consciousness is, that Isvara is conscious? And not only the scriptures say that Isvara is self-conscious, it is self-realized. He has the knowledge about its true nature and has the knowledge of the entire mithya projection. So how can we infer that? Just by observing that the world is projected intelligently, designed intelligently, and only this pure knowledge can do that and sustain and recycle it from moment to moment, all the names and forms, these basic 5 elements, okay? So, so we know, how can Jiva have this conscious intelligence? How Jiva can be intelligent, conscious? We have a certain degree of intelligence, of wisdom. So where does this wisdom come from? This clear mind that many times we experience, okay? Where it comes from? It comes from the Creator, okay? So the Creator creates the world of inert object and the world of sentient object. Where is sentience is coming from? It's coming from pure sattva. So if the Creator can give us a little bit of this taste of intelligence, it can only be made of pure intelligence, pure knowledge, pure intelligence. And then he's sattva, rajas, and tamas, and then he projects all kinds of objects in the world. And the jiva atmas, these sentient beings, they are going to shine with this intelligence as well, okay? It's not a huge bunch of intelligence that we can understand and manifest. Say, oh, Ishwara, give me a break. Don't worry. I want you to rest this Sunday. You have been working hard. Sunday, I want you to rest, Ishwara. I'm going to keep the universe in place. I'm going to do the maintenance for you Sunday, okay? Because I understand. I have the knowledge of all laws sustaining the universe, the cosmos. You rest. No, Ishwara said, no, you're going to screw it, okay? Because your knowledge is nothing almost, You leave it to me. You have to just develop a little bit more intelligence so that you can get that knowledge that is going to get you out of here, okay? Because this is a tough place to be. The world is so beautifully, intelligently designed that it can only come from a supreme intelligent power. Therefore, we say Ishvara is self-conscious. It knows the fundamental essential nature of everything, including his own or its own nature. And of course, it knows the entire cosmos because it creates, sustains, and destroys and recycles everything. So it can only know everything about mithya, and it's said to know its true nature. But the intriguing things, difficult to wrap our minds around it, is that Ishvara is not subject to karma. Ishvara is not moved by vasanas, okay? And Ishvara is not an experiencing, acting entity. It's just pure sattva, because Ishvara comes before tamas manifest. When tamas come into place, rajas and tamas come into place, and then this pure knowledge start blending with rajas and tamas, and then the intelligence, the knowledge is no longer pure. Okay, so Ishvara is before that, but on the other hand, Ishvara cannot be an experiencing entity, because in order to be an experienced entity, you have to pay the ticket. The ticket is to accept rajas and tamas. You become a little bit stupid like us. Huh? That's the price we have to pay. And then we have to try to improve, try to get a little bit wiser, and to be able to understand what is really the purpose of this weird game called life. If you argue that the consciousness is divided by upadhis, it means that you accept the reality of upadhis. So if you agree that consciousness is divided by infinite levels of properties and attributes and qualities, spread not only through the five koshas, but through all objects of the universe. All objects of the universe are upadhis for consciousness. They are going to have their own properties, attributes, and qualities, okay? And it is sat, it is existence, okay? And then we easily can believe, can think, can imagine that they are all integral parts of Brahman, which is not, okay? So all these divisions based on attributes and qualities and properties do not divide consciousness. It's not, consciousness is a partless whole. This is a beautiful statement. It needs to be understood. It's a whole, it's full, whole, and complete, but it's not made of a totality of all parts. The parts belong to mithya, okay? Infinite configurations of the five elements, okay? Infinite upadhis, but consciousness is whole, full, and complete, but it's not made of the totality of all parts. What is made of the totality of all parts? Ishvara, the manifestation. Ishvara manifests as the cosmos, is a totality of all properties, all upadhis, all names and forms of the universe. It's manifested as Jagat, but fundamentally Ishvara is the pure intelligence that projects, sustains, and recycles. You are going to say something, Lynn?
No, I've been remembering one of Ramji's examples of the Russian dolls, that one inside of another, one inside of another, beautifully illustrates what we're doing right now, I think, talking about these different levels of orders of reality. Yeah. I am still just a little unclear about discriminating Maya and Ishvara.
Yes, that is a tough one. And we're going to get the chance to, I read very quickly before we began, and it's going to bring about that kind of thing. Maya, Ishvara, use the power of Maya, and Maya, and we need to try to stretch our intellect to understand the relationship between Maya, the appearance, relationship between Maya and Ishvara. We're going to get into that. But it's a very, very subtle thing. It's difficult for the human intellect to really understand Maya, and the scriptures say again and again. I mean, my understanding is that Maya is this power, and this fundamental energy, which is a power, as we know, that it's not part of consciousness, but it's not apart from consciousness, because everything is an appearance in consciousness. Maya is the beginning of mithya, is an appearance, but it's appearance with a certain power that somehow it extracts the real power of consciousness and projects the world. Okay, so it's not that it does that, but it appears to get that power from consciousness and project the world. So it's the most primordial energy is Maya. And what is his first manifestation or creation is pure sattva guna.
So Maya is pure avyakta, unmanifest.
Yeah.
And Ishvara is the beginning of that manifestation.
Beginning of the manifestation, exactly. So the first aspect of the universe, of the Maya's creation, is pure sattva guna. And then with sattva, we have rajas and tamas developing. Okay, it's a question of grossification of this primary energy called sattva. We have sattva and then rajas and then tamas. Tamas is going to allow the densification, grossification, and materialization of this solid physical universe. Okay, so all of that comes from what? From Maya, the original energy, Prakriti, the nature of the entire universe, the nature of everything is Prakriti. Prakriti. Well, now I got confused. Prakriti. Yeah. So we have Maya, and then out of Maya, there is this incredible reflection, of consciousness in the aspect of Maya. Let's say Maya came into the scene, and then he's very fresh and pure, and then upon Maya shines this reflection of consciousness, appearing as the pure knowledge, pure intelligence, and this pure knowledge, pure intelligence is the most subtle aspect of Maya. And then Maya starts running around with excitement. And then when we see there is what? There is this other reflection of consciousness shining as Vikshepa or Rajoguna, you understand? The energy which is required to project the Jiva into existence, you understand? And then on another stage, so let's say Maya gets a little bit tired, and then another reflection, of course, we see Maya, and then we have Tamoguna, This Tamoguna is the energy that is going to grossify the elements. When we look into the elements and the way they grossify, divine and combine and grossify, you can see that it's only the tamasic aspect of the subtle elements that grossifies, okay? So tamas is going to allow this solid, physical, tangible universe we have, including our physical bodies. Without tamas, there is no manifestation. There is it's just like any creation. So you have an idea, you have the energy, you figure it out, you have a know-how, you made your plans, but then you say, oh my God, now there is a scarcity in the market. There are no raw materials anymore. So I cannot build my boat, okay? Because there are no materials. Raw materials are missing. So we need these three energies. So that's more or less, but that gets a little bit funny when we see that some passage, they use these two words, Maya and Ishvara, and sometimes it gives us the impression that Maya is superior to Ishvara because Maya comes first and Ishvara is a byproduct of Maya. And in another moment, it says that Ishvara is going to control Maya and is going to play with Maya and create this universe, okay? So Ishvara, to the extent that it's going to play with the three gunas, with rajas and tamas, it's going to do what? It's going to project all the namarupas of the universe. So it's almost as if Maya creates sattva guna, okay? And then he says, okay, I only come so far. Now I leave it to you. You are the Lord, and you play with my other two energies, okay? And now you're going to do the work of configuring all Namarupas of the universe. Okay, and then we say that sometimes they say, oh, Ishvara is so smart that he's going to play and manipulate with Maya. Why? Because Maya is said to be fundamentally the three gunas. It's the fundamental Prakriti that shines with the three gunas. Okay, and then Maya, Ishvara comes and say, okay, leave it to me. I'm going to play with the energies, and then I'm going to turn these energies into the elements, subtle elements, and all the other elements as the building blocks of the universe, okay? So it's not important that we understand something that is fundamentally impossible to understand. Let me close my WhatsApp here, please, just for a moment. So if you argue saying that consciousness is made of many parts and the upadhis divides consciousness, it means that you accept that reality, the reality of upadhis. But upadhis are mithya, a lower level of reality. Upadhis, what are upadhis? Are properties, qualities, attributes, okay? So these things, they appear, they are not real, okay? But then get transferred to the I, to the self, and then say, oh, I am the greatest yogi, okay? I experience another Maya kosha. What is your main quality, Swami? You say, my main quality is sattva guna, and I experience Ananda Maya kosha 24/7. So, and then the guy is going to believe I am the self. Why? Because I am this fine object or this fine creature that have this exceptional experience, based on these qualities of pure sattva, which reflects these kinds of spiritual, mystical, samadhis experience. Okay, it's all about identifying with the upadhis. But the upadhis are just properties. They are property, they are inherent to the quality of the subtle body. As we know, there is no mirror, and the reflection in the mirror cannot be really put apart. So the quality of a subtle body, if it is really heavy on sattva guna, is going to produce what? A jiva atma, a reflect consciousness, which is highly sattvic. And then these reflect consciousness are going to identify sattva with sattva, and is going to transfer sattva guna to consciousness, and is going to say, I know consciousness. Consciousness is sattva guna. This is the most subtle superimposition or confusion that exists in the spiritual world. Okay, transfer the upadhi of the Anandamaya kosha to the self and say, yes, I know the self because I experience the self. But that is an upadhi, okay? Upadhi is a mithya. All upadhis are mithya, not only Anandamaya kosha. Avidya upadhi, okay? Avidya is an aspect of ignorance. It limits the jiva and limits, which apparently limits jiva, and maya upadhi, which apparently limits Ishvara, relegating Ishvara to a mere role of the creator of the worlds. All of these are mithya. Isvara and Jiva mithya, Maya is mithya, even though they similarly cause duality. They cause the appearance of divisions, and divisions. What divides everything? Its properties and qualities and attributes, the names and forms and attributes. But I, the only reality, appears as Ishvara and Jiva and Jagata. So everything is only the I consciousness. Okay, there is an interesting passage here. Let's see if we can digest this one. This Avidya, which is Upadhi is overall. Now, these upadhis are mithya, and they are conditioned by this beginningless ignorance. These upadhis, this inability to be all-knowing, is going to limit the jiva, is going to limit by what it knows, but what it believes to be, its qualities and attributes and so on. And then it says that these upadhis are going to apparently limit Maya, Avidya, which apparently limits Jiva, and Maya, Upadhi. Okay, I understood. There is a Avidya, which is the ignorance, okay? Rajas and tamas operate in the human intellect. This Upadhi, this Avidya, Upadhi, is going to give trouble to the Jiva, And then there is a Maya Upadhi, which is this power, this energy, this fundamental energy, okay? It's going to apparently limit Ishvara. So in which way Maya is going to limit Ishvara? It's going to project Ishvara. This is an interesting part. It's going to project Ishvara and somehow is going to transfer some limitation to Ishvara by making Ishvara the Lord of the universe, a mere role as the Lord creator of the worlds, okay? So what you talking about? Give it to me. I don't find it limiting, I want to be Ishvara, I don't want to be any limited. I want to be the all-knower, all-knowing, all-powerful Ishvara. But here it says that even this quality of pure sattva, that Ishvara enjoys, is still a limitation. Why? Because sattva guna, pure sattva guna, is again a quality, an attribute, okay? Is going to make this conscious being called Ishvara, is going to give it the title, the status of the Lord of the universe, okay? But instead of saying relegating or giving him the status of the Lord of the universe, it says it's going to relegate him in a mere role of creator of the worlds, whereas he's just Brahman. He's just consciousness. You understand? That's the meaning here. So it's going to apparently limit Ishvara the same way that Rajas and Tamas are going to apparently limit the Atma of the Jiva, okay? And then the Maya Upadhi is going to apparently limit Ishvara, and Ishvara, as if Ishvara does not know that it is Brahman, okay? But it's probably from the standpoint of the Jiva Atma, we see the creator as the creator. We don't see the creator as Brahman, but we have to keep in mind that our text here and there says that Ishvara is a self-conscious being, which is not an experiencing entity, because it's not a karta doer and an experiencer. You cannot be an experiencer without being a doer, and you cannot be a doer without being subject to karma. And Ishvara is beyond karma, before karma. It's before Rajas and Tamas, and every kind of dynamics that evolves from the manifestation, okay? So Ishvara is a self-conscious being, and I have seen these statements in several passages of our text. But fundamentally, we know that Ishvara, playing the role of the creator, is mithya, okay? It is a great mithya because it is the Lord of mithya, the king of mithya. But it's still a mithya thing. So as I said before, what is the closest thing to Brahman? Consciousness is Maya. But we have to keep in mind that whatsoever we make up about this apparent association or proximity between Maya and Ishvara, okay? Maya and Brahman, we have to keep in mind that Maya is the beginning of mithya. Maya is just an appearance, okay? It's just mithya as well. So Maya is going to relegate Ishvara, into a mere role of creator, but Jiva and Ishvara both are mithya. And both of them are going to similarly cause duality or division, let's say. Yeah. So Ishvara is going to project duality because it's going to actually, Ishvara projects plurality. Okay. So, but it projects the world. Ishvara is going to project this fundamental duality, which is consciousness, or the creator and the creation, consciousness and matter. Okay, so it projects this duality, Ishvara. Cause both Ishvara and Jiva are going to cause these divisions, subject, object, creator, creation, and so on. So Ishvara is the real deal here, is the one who creates the objective reality, the world as we experience. But Jiva also works together with Ishvara, So both, at the end, both are working to project and sustain this projection, this reality, this divided cosmos, divided by what? By these apparent objects that I attribute value and I attribute reality to. But in truth, reality is one. Reality. I appear as Ishvara and Jiva. In other words, Ishvara and Jiva and Jagat are mithya, and I am the only reality. And this I is not the ego, of course. This I is pure, limitless consciousness. So, are we digesting this passage so far? In ordinary language, the paragraph above reads, neither the idea of an individual nor the idea of the totality limits me. Yeah. Neither the world, neither the creator, neither the individual limits consciousness. Ramji likes to, instead of say limits consciousness, he likes to personalize it, saying me, I, me, which is a good exercise as long we don't transfer the qualities of the ego to is this me and this I. Consciousness, because they are simply negatable notions, negatable points of view. These ideas of Ishvara and Jiva, they appear in me. Of course, they are objects. We have any doubt that the Jiva and Ishvara are an object. So the thing about Ishvara, we need to stop, pause, and think about. So how so we know that Ishvara is an object? What did you say, Mark?
I said because I see Ishvara everywhere and in everything. I see Ishvara as everything. And so everything is an object to me, consciousness.
Yeah. So from the standpoint of consciousness, Ishvara is an object, okay? It's a notion. So we infer that there is such a principle because there is a creation, there must be a creator, and all other inference are going to prove that this creator is made of pure knowledge, pure supreme intelligence. So we love Ishvara, we have great respect to Ishvara, okay, as our creator. And but we know that Ishvara appears in me as consciousness. I as the Jiva, the complex body mind, always say Ishvara. I as consciousness. Ishvara is the most beautiful object of mithya. Pure intelligence. Oh my God. Maya, thank you. You have created the most enjoyable and beautiful object in mithya. Okay. consciousness is required, I consciousness am required for the individual to live and the creator to create. Everything happens within the scope of consciousness. I cannot be negate. This conscious existence cannot be negated because I am eternally existent. And the only consciousness there is. Oh, no, there are so many consciousness. No, because my consciousness is expanded. And before my consciousness was one, now my consciousness is so high. No? My consciousness is so saturated that no, there must be many different consciousness. So what is wrong about this notion? Claudio?
Can you repeat which notion is wrong?
When we say, I cannot be negated because I am eternally existent and I am the only consciousness there is. And then I was trying to say, how so? I mean, 20 years ago, my consciousness was different. Now my consciousness is more pure. My consciousness is more clear, more sattvic and so on. Okay, so what is wrong with this notion?
You say, okay, it's wrong that the consciousness never changes.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about is the condition of my mind, and I change, of course. I how you say, I make an upadhi with my mind, with the state of my mind.
Yeah. The quality of the mind, you don't want to transfer that to consciousness. You want to keep consciousness pure without superimposition. Otherwise, we go into that confusion that we see in the Drisha. How to undo this confusion? I am the only consciousness there is. I am nirvikaraha. I never change. I never expand. I never contract. And I am non-dual. And I am akarta. The benefits of self-knowledge. The immediate benefit is owning my freedom. It's a wonderful permanent high that is not a high. This is so beautiful. So the immediate benefit is owning my freedom. So how are we going to own our freedom? We're going to own our nature as free, independent consciousness, never affected by Jivatma's experience. So how are we going to own this freedom? How I'm going to own my free and independent nature, never affected by experience? How I'm going to own that? So self-knowledge and only self-knowledge, no self-experience. Self-knowledge, this direct aparaksha yana, this clear vision of your true nature, this doubtless understanding is going to allow you to own your true nature. And this owning is not really an action. It's just a removal of something that was concealing and preventing you to appreciate your innate nature as freedom. You understand? So it's not that you have, okay, so I want to do this owning. So I need to practice it, rehearse it, and see, so in which way, which thoughts, which action I have to do to own this freedom, okay? So it's just by the removal of these upadhis that somehow transferred their properties to the true I, to the true conscious being that I am as consciousness. So the benefit of self-knowledge is that you're going to appreciate and enjoy your free nature. Okay? What are you going to do to get that understanding only, And understanding is only possible when we remove the obstacles, which are wrong notions or wrong transfers of qualities of the upadhis to the self, which is my free nature. Okay. And then here, it sounds like James. This is a permanent high that is not a high. This is so nice. Because when we say that the highest value in life is shanti, peace. Yeah? We cannot say that, oh yeah, shanti is wonderful. You know? Oh yes, I was really high. I went in such a state of deep shanti, and I was sitting, and the whole universe was perfect. Everything was perfect. I was perfect, and I was there, and it was a nice high. But it's not really a high in the sense of the word, okay? Because you're not going to be high in the sense that there will be no excitement, okay? There will be only peace, and a different sort of satisfaction, okay? A different sort of happiness, which does not depend on any happening. It's just the nature of this self-knowledge. So this self-knowledge is going to allow us to be free. And this freedom, this knowledge in regards to my nature's freedom is going to provide this state in my Jiva nature as if I'm high, but I'm all the time cool, balanced, equanimous, and so on. When I wake up from a nightmare, I get the immediate benefit of being a fearless awaker. Unlike the Jiva's awaking and dreaming awaking, however, the high continues forever because I cannot go back to sleep. I cannot go back to sleep because I know that I never slept. Okay, let me see if I understand this one. So when I wake up from a nightmare, nightmares, they can be very hard. So immediately I have that sense of relief. Oh my God, it was a dream. It was a nightmare. So immediately I'm very satisfied and happy to know that I was not being killed in that dream, okay? So, and then immediately I enjoy the benefit of being awaker. And in this moment, I have no fear because the fear was belonging to the projection of the dream. So I just find myself free as the awaker. Unlike the Jiva's awakening, the dreaming, awakening. Unlike the Jiva's awakening and dreaming. So now we have the dream that was a nightmare, and then we have Jiva's awakening, which is a kind of high. Oh my God, thanks God, it's a dream, and my heart is still boom, 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 but I'm happy, you know. So there is a Jiva's nightmare, there is a waker, you know, a waker high of realizing that I am a fearless awaker, you know. But on another level, the self is there and experience this permanent high, which is not a high, okay? So, but let's follow here. However, the high continues forever because I cannot go back to sleep. So I got excited, I suffered the nightmare. I was excitedly happy when I saw that there was a fearless waker. And now between those two excitements of the adversities of the dream state, excitements of the happiness of seeing that it was all a dream, and then I'm that kind of state that prevents me from going back to sleep. But then he changed here without elaborating much. But the I, the true I, cannot go back to sleep because the I never slept. Okay? So the true I is not subject to this experience. I don't know. I mean, I think it was going a certain way, the closing, unless I'm missing something, I ask the help of you guys. It could be going somewhere else, because the Jiva, it went through an experience of adversity in the dreaming and then went through a high happiness, discovering that it was the dream. And then in both cases, it cannot go back to sleep because it's too excited, okay? And then how the self plays with all of that. The self is there illumining, okay, the witnessing conscious existence, illumining those two states, the states of the dreamer experience a nightmare and the awakened experience a happiness of knowing that it was a nightmare, and consciousness is there, okay? And it's never sleeping, it's never awake, and it's never dreaming, as we know. This consciousness is never experiencing the lows or the despair of a nightmare, and neither any kind of heights, that happens during the awakened state of the visual, okay? Consciousness, I never sleep, I never dream, and therefore I don't awake as well, because, I'm beyond the three states. Is it something like that? You have any contribution?
Yeah, no, I think you're correct, Arlinda. I think he changes perspective, though, with the word however. I think at that point, he's referring to consciousness. Unlike the Jiva's waking and dreaming, however,
you got it. That's where I was missing. Okay, the Jiva, he suffered the experience of the dream, and then he suffered the experience of the dream, and he enjoyed the benefit of being the waker without any fear of the nightmare, okay? However, the high of the self continues forever. So the high of the self is not something subject to ups and downs, peaks and valleys. It continues like that, equanimous. However, the high continues forever, because I'm not the sleeper, I'm not the dreamer, and I'm not the awaker. I cannot go back to sleep because I have never slept. You got it, Mark. Thank you. I knew I was feeling that I was missing something. However, for the I consciousness, the I continues forever. For I cannot go back to sleep. I consciousness can never go back to sleep.
Arlindo,
Yep.
I don't know if I understand what you mean, but I think that he doesn't refer to the sleep state, the deep sleep state, or the dream state. I think that he's making a metaphor with the dreaming and the waking up, that you are happy when you're waking up for a nightmare. And then simply he says that this happiness, that of course is not an experience, an experiencing happiness, this high, continues because I cannot go back to sleep, because I am, when I understand the self, I know that I never was, I never wasn't the self, I always was the self. So I think he means that you cannot go back to sleep because you understand that you was never sleeping, in the sense that you always were aware of the self in reality, because actually this is what, when you understand the self, you understand.
Very nice. Now I got your point.
Were always
you brought another element to this passage here. You're saying that, if I understood you correct, you say that, however, the high of the self, which I am, is continuous forever, because I cannot go back to sleep. So knowledge, once gained, it is never lost. So I mean to say,
exactly.
Another analogy talking about the sleep, in regards to the the self-knowledge. We have the awakening from the nightmare, awakening from the dream, awakening from the awakened state as well, So from that angle, yes, very nice contribution. So The high continues because I cannot go back to ignorance. So once I know the I know that I'm beyond the three states. Very nice.
Yeah, I am beyond the happiness and beyond the sadness and beyond the fear, because even when I am fear, I am present as the self. So this high is always present.
Which is a high, but it's not a high, as it was said. It's a peace. There are some passages in some scriptures say the peace that passes all understanding, you know, because when we talk about peace, we believe that we somehow we connect that with peaceful circumstance, you understand? But when you are truly peaceful, you are beyond circumstance. You know? So this was to describe in a sophisticated way the immediate benefit of owning freedom and the high that is not really a high. The second benefit is the extended benefit is freedom from rebirth, because there is no birth for me. So I'm beyond the three states. I do not need to awake because I never slept. And once I know that, once this self-knowledge is hard and fast, the extended benefit is freedom from rebirth, which is a topic that James Watts often does not like to touch. And sometimes he makes some remarks or omits, but here he left. The extended benefit is freedom from rebirth. That is because there is no birth for me. So you can interpret it, you know. Even if I rebirth, I don't rebirth. Okay, one could say, no, it's okay. I get another birth, but I don't rebirth. Okay, because I'm beyond birth. You know, I'm the self. Okay, but the scriptures talk in terms of the soul getting another birth. You know, and it said the extended benefit is freedom from having to come and begin another cycle of birth, life, and death. No birth and no rebirth means that I no longer identify I am born into the fears and desires appearing in me. You see, Ranji always take that road. He hates these notions of rebirth, but they are integral part of our sampradaya, you know, our scriptures. We know that there is a soul. We know there is a journey of the soul, and the soul does not get away with all the karmas, you know, karma pala datta, you know, karma palas. The soul cannot get away with the karma palas, you know. I say, oh no, it's okay. I'm not the self, and then I have a lot of karma palas. I'm going to enjoy my life. And no, if there are a lot of karma palas that needs to be worked, and then the soul is going to get another birth. Okay, so but that's what the scripture says, and that's what I do believe. I infer that it makes total sense. But Ranjit tries to stay away from that concept for some reasons, and I understand and I respect. And here he says no birth and no rebirth means that I no longer identify with, okay, I am born into my thoughts, my fears, my emotions. I don't identify with this phenomenon. So, and then I'm not being born into experience again and again. So philosophically speaking, it sounds good, okay? So, of course, there is no birth for the self. I don't identify with my experience, okay? With my thoughts, with the fears and desires impure in me, and then I remain as the self, okay? So I don't get hooked to the objects, and then there are no question of vasanas, okay? So, and then there is no rebirth, okay? There is no rebirth, why? Because I'm done with chasing objects of desires and objects of aversions. So if I don't have those compelling energies toward the objects, attraction and repulsion, okay? If I don't have that, chances are, say the scriptures, that we don't need to come back to chase more objects, in the search of completion or perfection and so on. Okay, no birth and rebirth means that I no longer identify with my experience, my thoughts, my fears. I'm dead to them because I know they are not real. Therefore, I'm free as I live. Yes, you are free as you live. You are dead to them, and we live along this stock of rebirth. But knowledge, self-knowledge, is said to free the jiva from the cycles of samsara, which means to say new birth. Okay, but here and there. And it's my take that we never know, but it's irrelevant. What is relevant is that we evolve, that we grow, we purify, we refine, and then if we have to be born again, so this is an intelligent system. We're going to be born in a very nice environment, because we have purified to an extent that we can further elevate ourselves in a better realm, in a better circumstance, even if it's in the same planet where we are right now. Okie dokie. So this concludes the chapter 3. Again, we did not move, but it was a little bit more difficult to digest this one, and thanks God I had the help of my friends over there. We meet again soon, next Thursday. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purna Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, my dear friends. We meet again next Thursday, Isvara willing. Goodbye, arrivederci, and hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego. Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Sí.
Hasta el lunes.
Okay,
Thank you.
Hasta jueves.
bye.
Sí.
Hasta,
Okay,
hasta
thanks,
jueves.
Steiner.
Hasta jueves, de verdad.
Sí.
Too difficult.
Chao.